Let's go. It's your back, they keep passing. It they bring out the best thing. I they feel your recipe. Make you give me that recipe. Fine, fine. Yeah, you fine. You so divine. I they feel you die.
What's happening, people? We got a new episode of Awesome Entertainment. It's your boy Joel Awesome. We checking out this interview with Nicolas Cage and the cast of Spider-Noir. I want y'all, if y'all watch my videos, y'all know I fucks with Spider-Noir. That shit was hitting. They did it right. They didn't overdo it. They didn't underdo it. It was grounded. It was Spider-Man. It was throwback. It wasn't too throwback to where it took you out of the element. I won't say it was perfect, but it was perfect for as far as fan service goes. You know what I mean? Like, Deadpool wasn't a perfect movie, but if you were a Deadpool Wolverine fan, you were very satisfied with that movie. But the same thing with Spider-Noir. It was actually a better storyline, but it wasn't perfect. But as a fan, as somebody who wanted a alternate universe story, of someone who wanted an alternate universe hero, who they really ain't did it, which is crazy because we had the whole multiverse saga, and it's so crazy how we haven't had any outer universe stories other than the Fantastic Four, which is really just in our universe, because there ain't no Fantastic Four, so it's not an alternate universe. It's just shit that we ain't in. But regardless, this video, let's just check out the spoilers in this. So if you haven't seen Spider-Noir, go watch it. I haven't watched it twice. I watched it in black and white. I watched it in color. It was great on both. Better in black and white. But let's check out this interview, see what the cast and crew got to say. I'll drop some comments.
When you get to play the Spider-Man, it'd be great if you could have one scene in his apartment where he's crawling or doing something like a spider.
Yes.
And I saw the movie and I liked it, but that moment didn't happen. So when I had a chance to do this, I thought, well, we're definitely going all in with that.
This show has such a strong classic noir gangster texture.
Nice.
I did see hints of like Jimmy Cagney and Edward G. Robinson in your performance, and a little bit of like Jimmy Stewart.
I don't know who that is, but that's credit.
What was the old Hollywood movie or performance that maybe you had in your head while building Ben?
Specifically, I would go back to Howard Hawks' The Big Sleep. There was something, Howard Hawks always has this kind of fast-paced repartee.
Mm-hmm. That's why you study, guys.
Big Sleep. I wanted to bring that old movie star style of acting from the 30s and 40s. And also Bogart's character in that.
Can we stop and talk about this man's jacket right now? I don't know if that's real snakeskin or dinosaur skin or whatever that shit is, but the shit look expensive. That's all I'm saying.
It had this
look out of my price
marvelous bemusement when he would see somebody doing something naughty, and that he would find it amusing, and he would start laughing right in the other actor's face. Like, this is just so wonderful that you're this wicked. And I wanted to bring that energy to Ben Reilly in some of the scenes with Lee Jun Lee and some of the other actors.
I know he's not the same character from the Spider-Man.
I think something that Nicolas Cage did very well in the show is being Spider-Man, but not being Peter Parker with a little bit of Peter Parker. Like, Ben Reilly was different in the show.
Spider-Verse, but did that freedom then make it easier to build him as someone just more human, wounded, and like physically vulnerable?
Well, yes, because, I mean, the Spider-Verse movie, I'm animated and I don't have much screen time. It's the same character. It's a different name in a different universe, but he still has that stylization, that way of speaking. But because I had 8 episodes to create this character, I was able to dig a little deeper. I had the luxury of time to dig a little deeper and explore what really interested me, which is that sort of arachnid DNA and how that would affect his body.
Do you fucking see how he's talking about the character and how he's trying to bring the character to life instead of just being somebody else and then putting a Spider-Man suit on somebody else? Like, Marvel has this issue where they try to reinvent the characters and make them not like the comic books or make them not like the originals. And the shit always comes out as a fucking flop. It always sucks. And when it's like, these characters, even though they're two-dimensional animated comic book characters, there is a large level of depth to the character. Like, Spider-Noir is, he is a hero, but he is also a drunk, and he's also like, you know, a private eye, and sometimes he cares, some shit he don't care about, but like he doesn't move like Peter Parker moves, even though he's Peter Parker changed his name. But capturing the animated, you know, or the cartoon character from the comic and then bringing them to life like you did with Captain America, like you did with Iron Man, you know what I mean? Those were all on point, and he's just another one to add to it.
And his thoughts and all that was peppered in throughout like little seeds being planted that blossomed throughout the episodes. We were very flexible, Orrin and I, and we're kind of creating as we went along.
Man, don't give me no commercials right now. Shit.
Check this out. I'm going to show you.
Oh my God. Two unskippables?
You ready? All right, $118.
You two unskippable. I'm trying to make a video. I'm trying to make some content right here,
I picked up the car. I love those nuances, because when you say like how you sort of built him from like spider sort of DNA, like the way he sleeps, like the way it's so fun.
He curl up like a spider.
Yeah, I really wanted that.
You tapped into it, bro.
I don't know why I met Sam Raimi years ago. He wanted me to play Green Goblin, and I thought I did adaptation instead. But I thought, you know, I said to him, whoever you get to play the Spider-Man, it would be great if you could have one scene in his apartment where he's crawling.
You know, one of the coolest parts, it wasn't even in the apartment, but it was whenever he was chasing down, we're talking about the original Spider-Man 1 with Tobey, when he was in his apartment and he was hanging from he wasn't in the apartment. He was chasing down the guy who killed Ben, and he's hanging from the ceiling. He dropped down like a spider, and then he come back up. Now, I don't think the webs work like that. He didn't do his hands, but regardless, it was a great touch. It was very Spider-y, and it was one of the best parts, not one of the best parts, but it was a detail in the movie that was worth it. It was on point.
Or doing something like a spider, and I saw the movie and I liked it, but that moment didn't happen. So when I had a chance to do this, I thought, well, we're definitely going all in with that.
Yeah.
So he does, begin the season, Ben, as like as a spider that kind of like everything sort of got ruined after Ruby's death, and I feel like he's kind of, get away as far as possible from it. Did you play him as someone who hates the mask, or is just sort of afraid that he needs it, and that's why there's that push and pull with him?
Well, it could be both. I mean, I hesitate to answer your question because that's really up to the audience, whatever they want to get from it. And any answer I give you would impinge on that. So, but the answer simply is it could be both.
And, by the end, Ben is alive, but not exactly sort of healed. And Janet's now his partner, which I loved seeing that dynamic with you two. And then his powers are still sort of unstable. And I'm wondering, where would you most be curious to see him go emotionally in season 2? Because I think we're going to get a season 2.
Yeah, we need a season fucking 2 today, right now.
I do love where the show is going, and there's a lot more universe to build.
I think
we need the Goblin in here. We need Kingpin in here.
There's been very little talk about it.
Please do another season.
Of the inklings that I heard that made me ponder was that maybe he would go to different countries and see how he interacts with different cultures and different countries.
Look, that's not a terrible idea, but it's not a great idea. Probably not even a good idea. Stay in New York, keep doing your thing, bring in some more villains, grow it. All right. So he was kind of the start, obviously spoilers. He was the start or part of the start of the guys getting powers. He was with the POWs that all got powers. Build from that. Like who sent these guys there? Or, you could come up with another reason why it happened. You could put the Kingpin behind it. You could put the Goblin behind it. The Goblin's a mobster in some of the Spider-Noir comics.
Whether it's, South America or Asia or Europe.
And if you get the alternate versions, like I do like Sandman. It was a different Sandman. But if y'all could bring in William Dafoe to play the Goblin for one season with him going back as the hero, man, I'm giving y'all fucking gold.
That could have some richness to it.
I know you were not doing too many stunts for this because I think you had the stuntman in costume, but the things that were not you were, hiding your face and all that. Was that something that maybe was like, how was that like the stunts this season for you to do? Like, I know you've been very physical in some of your films. We got to see that. So was there anything that was really challenging this time around when you were doing it, or anything that you were really excited to do?
Well, I mean, I did a lot of wire work. Yeah, and it's true. I had a great stunt man, but, there are a lot of time constraints on a television show and different units going. And I was primarily focusing on the psyche and the performance because I was trying to bring this stylization, as you know, this sort of, and it fits better, in my view, in the black and white format that I designed my performance to be like an old school.
Facts. And the reason, and I say this because I watched both black and white and color. I watched the black and white first. The black and white feels like I'm watching that old school nostalgic type thing, right? It feels like I'm watching their world. In the color version, it kind of feels like you're in the world, which you would think would be better. But to me, it wasn't. Just for this show, it wasn't. Like, I want to see. It's so old school. I needed to feel old school. The black and white with the HD makes it so much fire to me. And then they always do the little hint of color, like maybe in the eyes or something like that. I always think that's dope.
Black and white noir film actor, whether it's Bogey or Edward G. Robinson or whomever. And so I was always trying to carve that. And so that was where my main focus was. When they absolutely needed me to do stunts, I did them. And a lot of the fight sequences.
Man, like 70, bro. What you got to do stunts for?
I'm more interested in the psyche and in the performance.
Yes. No, it's a great performance. Yes. And I think this is something that I feel like
we could see the psyche. He made us see it without saying it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times in the some of the quickly made superhero shit, they'll be like, oh, well, he was feeling heroic. Like, no, show us, nigga. Don't tell us. And Nicolas Cage did a great job of showing.
It's so different from a lot of things you have done. And I've been such a big fan of your filmography for years.
Thank you.
And for you to like come into this sort of world, it's so nuanced and like detailed, and there's so many layers to the Spider. Was there something that surprised you most about like, getting to be in this role, and then sort of bringing something new to it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that what I wanted going into television was that I would have the time to, with 8 episodes, to plant little seeds that would then blossom later.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff that you see in the show, like Ben watching movies and trying to figure out how to be human again by copying movie stars and enjoying them to sort of recode his body to be more human, that we came up with as we were working. It wasn't in the script, and so that's the kind of
creative
little, not accidents, but what starts to emanate through with.
It's not an accident, okay? It's a opportunity, okay? Sometimes you create the situation and then let the story tell itself. I feel like a lot of times they try to, like, I want people to feel this way or think this way, so I got to make the story tailored to that. No, you got a character. This is who this guy is. You put him in a situation. How does he respond in a realistic, sensible way for that guy, right? It's not about telling your own story. It's about finding out who these people are, communicating that to the audience.
With imagination and thought, that you get to, if you're flexible enough, you can bring them to life. And that's what television afforded me.
Yeah.
The humor in this
Let the
is
story
so
write itself.
Fresh and clean. And it's so reminiscent of like His Girl Friday, like the dialogue, the feed and all that. Was that something really fun for you to do, especially getting into like
look at his face? He's having blast. He's smiling too.
So much fun. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That fast-paced repartee, Lee Jun Lee and myself around the piano, all that fun kind of, you could imagine it in one of those old black and white movies like The Thin Man or what have you, that the fun they would have, together. You could, and I wanted to bring that. So I'm glad you noticed.
Mm-hmm. I love the chemistry with you and, Janet's character, Karen, when you guys are like, all that stuff. It feels like His Girl Friday, like Rosalind Russell and Cary Grant talking and having that like back and forth push and pull. It was so great. It was so amazing.
Thank you. No, I'm glad you noticed that we wanted that to happen. I appreciate that.
Of course. Well, congratulations on the show. And thank you so much for the time today. I really am honored to have spoken.
My pleasure. Thank you.
One thing I will say, man, when you put nostalgia, it's nostalgic because of the style, the timing, and some of the, the way they talk. But the whole story is original. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not original because it's coming to comic, but I'm saying it hasn't been done on television, right? So you got an original story where everything feels new to someone who's watching it, but at the same time, it feels nostalgic, and that is very hard to actually have both of those together. And this is one of the perfect shows for that, and they hit it on the head.
Was there one Hollywood movie or performance that you secretly had in your head while building your character?
Yeah, and I've forgotten what it is. What's the one? What's the one with all the mirrors at the end?
Oh.
With the shooting. It's just, man, I should have gone back again because I have a head like a sieve. But I was so familiar with it for so long, it's gone completely out of my head. But it's just at the end with the shooting of the mirrors, all that stuff. It's a very specific reference. But all the Orson Welles stuff, all those kind of low angles and Dutch angles and all that kind of stuff, it's very hard to, and the more you go back into them, the more you remember. Yeah. But I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge. It doesn't, I experience these things and then I moved on. Contextualized them some way. But it all felt.
That's how you know you're a veteran in the game. You just killing the game, come out, kill your role, and say, hey, what'd you do? I don't even remember, man. I was just out here doing it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't acting, I'm living it.
So familiar, you know what I mean? So I don't have one. I should have. I'm sorry, my prep was very bad.
No, you're fine. I did see a lot of Edward G. Robinson, Ray Milland sort of performance textures and those. That was great. Getting into spoilers though, this version of Silvermane is so different from the comics, and I think people are going to really love seeing this new sort of version of him. What was it about the script's take that made you want to step into this world?
It was the possibilities. Well, there were things that made me want to do it, like the possibilities of interacting with Nick for his art, and then. The idea of, I talked about it early because he was kind of Italian mobster stuff, which isn't really not, you don't cast me as a Italian mobster if you have any sense. But I played a Panamanian once. That was an interesting experience with John Borman. But that was, I can tell you about that at some stage. But that was full of fun and stuff, and brown lenses and all that. So I wasn't going to go there. So we talked about, anyway, there was a big Irish kind of dimension to the whole mob life at that point anyway. Yeah. Wanted to kind of go into an area where he was Dublin rather than sort of country. Mm-hmm. Remember Robert Shaw was at the Sting? He played that great sort of Irish gangster, but he had a country thing going on, a kind of a rural accent rather than. So I wanted to do a Dublin guy this time. Mm. And kind of visit him.
That's funny. He's so specific. I didn't know.
So that was kind of I wanted to build him up and take him from the poverty of the Dublin slums and give him a little bit of a backstory there, where he felt that, all that stuff had happened, and he lost two brothers before he was born, and all this kind of stuff. And just bring an element of that in to kind of muddy the waters about the goodies and the baddies thing. So that was the genesis of it, really. I didn't really dive into Silvermane, the comic version, because I kind of felt there was an opportunity to do something else. And and Oren and Steve were kind of up for that. So that's where we went.
So, Silvermane is so terrifying because I feel like he rarely has to raise his voice without, sort of saying to everybody the room belongs to him. The power he wields. How did you find?
I will say this, and it took them to the end of the movie and they did flip on him. But bro, if I got superpowers, I'm not listening to a motherfucker who ain't got superpowers. I'm sorry. That's just, unless, and if you got money, I'm going to take it.
Gangster menace, but then that comic book villainy.
Ain't listening to nobody. You ain't got no powers. You know what I mean? What Dave Chappelle say? He said, you ain't got no army? I'll shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? That's what I do if I ain't had no army. Yeah, if I had no superpowers, bro, or if I had superpowers, like Sandman, I guess his name was Megawatt instead of Electro. Regardless, I ain't listening to motherfucker with no superpowers. Sorry, Silvermane. He was cool, though.
I thought the cane was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I kind of came up with that notion that maybe, because I remember actually a guy taking a sword out of a cane one time years ago. It was the weirdest thing ever. He was a man who was trying to clear a public house of people at closing time. He took this cane up and he took a sword out of it. And they were a thing. People used to, in, I don't know, 1800s, people used to walk around with walking canes with swords in them because they're highwaymen or something. I don't know what was going on. But it just felt to me that having a little, I wanted him to have a close-up menace. That he wasn't going to be jumping around the buildings anymore. Like he's gone past that stage, and so that why is he lethal? There's one thing kind of staring at people and saying I'm a very dangerous man, but you have to have something to kind of back it up a little bit. So I wanted something to be close in. That he was one of these people who it would happen when he was looking at you, and you suddenly look down and it had happened.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you needed an element of tangible danger, I think. So that's kind of that's once you do that. I was a teacher for 10 years, and I found out when I was training that if you go in as a nice guy, you're finished.
Yeah.
So you go in with a kind of something with an opening kind of a gambit that makes it something of an impression that not to be messed with. And so I knew I had to do that with him. And once you do it once, you don't need to do it again, really. Not really.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows.
So I'm getting the wrap, but unfortunately, you're so delightful to talk to.
The message has been sent. They already know what it is.
His death at the end is so personal because, Kat shoots him herself and it's not going to Ben. So I'm wondering, what was your response to him being undone by somebody he actually underestimated emotionally?
I didn't really underestimate her. I thought I liberated her. That line at the end.
Sound like a true villain. I liberated you while he was held captive.
It's the only one I didn't put a heavy accent on. Because there was a softness to it that was real, that I wanted to be there. And I always felt that his heart was compromised by her. And not only did he know it, but he delighted in it. And when the death scene came...
Yo, I kind of put two and two together. Is Silverman a cut? Is he a cuckold? Because she was with Flint. She was with Flint. She was about to hook up with Ben, but she was your girl, and she told you yo, I'm in love with Flint. Like, bro, did you know they was together? I think he did. That dude's a cut. That's crazy.
Which is kind of obviously spoiler alert.
I watched two seasons. I watched it twice.
Just for yourself.
Put that together.
We worked out a situation where I went.
Now I know. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
As if
realization hit.
Never going to do it. Now I might have done it in the previous time with the gun, but I think he wants it to be her because the line informed everything from the very beginning of the performance. I always came back to Oren and said, "Are we going to be true to this last line or not?"
Yeah,
because there had to be something there. And honestly, that was kind of it kept me from just consigning him to the dark side.
Yeah, no, he's a great character. He's so layered, which is why I was like, in the way the comic book lore is, maybe we'll see him in season 2. He'll pop up somewhere. Who knows? So we'll never know.
Pop up from the dead.
You never know. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for that.
Basically, the show has such a strong classic noir gangster texture. Was there one Hollywood movie or performance that you guys watched from that era that you each secretly had in your head while building your characters?
For me, no. I just took bits and pieces of it and then made it my own. But yeah, there was specific inspiration that Oren Uziel, our creator, had given me, and which I took in my research.
My bro with the Cisco hair is crazy.
Yeah, sort of
big ass, swole ass nigga with some Cisco hair.
I didn't really know what we were making. I sort of had a generalized idea, but so when I got the part, Oren was just do that. So I later I realized that he was writing with certain things in mind, but I think what I ended up doing wasn't really influenced by anything, which was strange.
Yeah, and for me, kind of similar, but I went and did a lot.
I'll be honest, man. They didn't give. I liked the different version of Flint. I like the alternate. I like seeing an alternate version of a villain or hero that I've seen before. He did a good job, but I don't think there was a whole bunch of detail in his character. It wasn't like he loved the girl. He was serious the whole time. There wasn't a lot of depth for him. Same with this dude. There wasn't a lot of depth with Tombstone. But But it didn't need to be. They're side villains.
Research on the history of the time, what was happening in the 1930s, what happened, why.
I'd like to see his tombstone compared to the tombstone that's in
Depression and
Brand New Day.
After the war and Prohibition, all of these things, President Hoover. So it was just interesting to be the times, okay, what was going on for the people that were being depicted in these classic noirs.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, that's a good way of saying it. Is I think we were all influenced by a sort of long history of noir and different voices and stuff that sort of happened through the ether. So it's an interesting one, but that sort of comes out just naturally, which is really nice.
Yeah.
The show has such this beautiful element of noir, and I love that so much. I've grown up on those. I've done courses on those in college, and so to see that kind of play out has been great. Getting into spoilers though, Lily, I have to say, Kat choosing Flint in the finale and then leaves Ben, emotionally stranded. Do you think she truly closed that chapter with him? Because he is. At the end, he's pretty sad. I was wondering, do you think she's closed that chapter, or do you think their connection is a little deeper, especially knowing their comic book history?
I think it is. I don't know the answer to it, but I personally
the only way you can figure out that answer is season 2. All right. He's no longer Sandman though, so he's cured. Maybe they can find a way to uncure him, or maybe give him his powers back without it taking away his life. I can't see her. I don't really want her to be Spider-Man's love interest though. I think you should bring in a Gwen. Or see, I thought she was Black Cat because her name was Cat Hardy, so I was thinking Felicia Hardy. So maybe she could do something like that, but I really don't think she should end up being his love interest.
I think it is deeper. I think the human emotion is so complex, and
I like her being loyal to Flint, be loyal to the guy you actually like.
We talk about duality of our characters being good people doing bad things, and I also think that she can love two people very differently at the same time. And it breaks my heart that she had to say one. Pick one over the other, but
that's how it is with me, man. That's how it is with me. I gotta pick one girl or the other girl. They all love me, and you gotta, it's the life of a player, man. It's the life of a player. I understand the pain. Sometimes you gotta
that delivery when she's like, go to hell at the end.
I can't let it. I gotta let it go. Go to keep it great.
So perfect. It comes off like that sort of like Jimmy Cagney and sort of background like that conversation. Yeah. I love that. I thought it was great. So, Abraham, I have a question for you. I think after Lonnie sort of, survived everything, do you think he can actually return to himself, or has Tombstone already changed how he sees himself forever?
I think the events that happen will change anybody.
That motherfucker got stabbed in the eye.
I think Lonnie's character not only gets pushed to an edge and then finds himself over that edge, doing things he never thought he would do. But he does reap rewards out of it, and of course the context is that he thinks that, these are his last days. But then to survive, what does life look like after? Once you've tasted, actually maybe doing the wrong thing does get you some results. And of course, the relationship that he has with Flint, Flint shows him, hey, listen, man, if we're gonna go, let's get something before we do. So I think that mindset, that experience will change anybody.
Yeah, I love that bromance you guys had. It was so great to see that. And Jack, Flint's tragedy is that he sort of is the thing that he's making him monstrous. It also gives him powers that men under Silvermane never really had. So did you ever see him as maybe afraid of being Sandman, or just afraid of how much he might need Sandman?
Look at this unskippable. What is this, a sponsored video, bro? This is twice. 2 unskippable ads for a weak ass game. That shit look trash.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Interesting question. I think, exactly like you said, what's killing us is also our strength at this point, isn't it? It's what makes us necessary, or, makes us a necessity for Silvermane. So, it's like Abraham just said, it's, we come back from the war and the world has turned its back on us, and we haven't got, I was going to swear, but, we ain't got crap. So I think I think it's what's great about these characters is they're all going through a very deep internal struggle.
Yeah.
So they're not, necessarily villains. They're anti-heroes in the essence of good people can do bad things in desperate situations, and we're all
but let's bring in the real villains. I think a Scorpion would be a great addition.
I love how that was sort of portrayed and throughout the show, because nothing's easy, man. And no decision's easy. And we know that in life. Like, how often do we come to those crossroads and we're like, posed a question or something's put to us and we're like, God, I have to choose one or the other, or I have to do this, but that means I can't do that, or
that's
this
life,
to this person. It's like, it's a very human story, actually, at the end of it.
I just want to jump on that as well. And, this is not a spoiler for people that watch the first 2 episodes, but the moment where Ben Reilly decides that he's going to pick up the mask again. Yeah. It's written so well. It's exactly what you just said. It's like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally.
Each of your characters, though, pulls out a different side of Ben throughout the series. And so I'm wondering for all three of you, what stood out about working with Nicolas Cage and seeing how he shifted Ben depending on the scene partner?
His passion, man. I mean, just not only his sort of like absolute
love for the game
and tenacity and what he brings to this character, but just his overall love of cinema and film and just, being in his orbit.
I would say it was interesting getting to, watching the series and seeing the moments he had with you, Lily, compared to the moments where he was playing in front of other characters. And I think especially, that scene that, where he's with all the supers, he's there's a Ben it's almost like a showman who's got bravado and is like, very confident and sly and witty and a bit rude. But then getting to see a more intimate, vulnerable, softer side when he's with Kat is yeah.
But also when he is with Kat, he also struggles with that because sometimes he is very mean to her and then sometimes he softens up as well.
Yeah.
He a player, that's what it is.
Very much like a Casablanca sort of dynamic. But guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the show.
I second that. Thank you for the great fucking show. Nicolas Cage, you did a great job. This is how I am when it comes to the superhero shit that's actually good. I get obsessed with it. I watch it over and over again. And that just tells you how bad, Marvel and Sony have been doing recently, because all it took was one good show. And I'm like, man, let's watch that shit again. You know what I mean? And they've been cranking out movies and shows that are just so ass that I don't even want to watch it the first time, So for them to do such a fantastic job on this one, clap it up, man. Clap it up. Let me know what y'all think. Hit like, hit share, hit subscribe. I'm out. Don't play with my patience. Man, they gone with the flow when they trying to fake it. That's not the way I roll, that's not the combination. You start off with the dough before you start the conversation. No one start the salutations, man, don't play with me. I'm coming from a place they would hate to be. I'm going through a phase you would hate to see. They say this life's a trip. Ain't no telling where it's taking me. When you on the edge and you make your next move, better be your best. Before you throw it to the depths, better reinvest. Man, I count every moment and count every step, so I know I'm blessed. Now it's time to